In 20.0 there were several balance changes. There were many buffs, but also a few nerfs and a new hero. So let's begin with the Alch nerf is rather complicated, so let's start with what the alchemist actually does. It has a brew attack every 8 seconds which targets the closest buffable tower or hero in range, except for other alchemists and towers that don't attack. The buff the brew gives lasts this long and has a cooldown of this long, whereas a 002 cross buff will only give you a 1.6 second reductions in the brew attack speed, which is very useless considering the buff cooldown. So 420 Alch is now the best cross buff from 20.0's balance changes. Or is it? Sure, 420 Alch is by far better than 402 Alch at a single tower, but you usually don't use Alch on just one tower, so let's reconsider for 2 towers. The 402 Alch barely edges out of the 420 Alch for 2 towers and 3 towers. However, not every tower attacks this slow. If we have a tower that attacks 25 times per second, 402 is slightly better. You might think that 25 attacks per second is fast, but a 204 attack attacks 76 times per second without any buffs. This is even more obvious for more than one fast attacking tower. In conclusion, if you have a bunch of slow attacking towers, 420 is only better if you have about 1 or 2 of them. Otherwise, 402 is almost always better than 420. But what about the actual nerf of the Alch? The buff duration decreased essentially. This means that the alchemists basically provide weaker of a buff for fast attacking towers, which are towers that benefit from the alchemist the most anyway. With most of the good towers reduced in terms of DPS, 2 things happen. Firstly, support towers became a lot more useful because the DPS for almost everything was reduced, so you need support towers to help. Secondly, towers that didn't need an alchemist was suddenly way better, especially Moet Maulers. Moet Maulers is now one of the only ways to consistently black border bloody puddles. The Moet Mine nerf was nothing special, it just further reduced Brickell as a DPS hero, which isn't what she was. The main thing that was good about Brickell is the naval tactics ability. In sub-spam strategies, everything will get obliterated except for one thing, DDTs. Normally, you need to invest about 10k for a monkey intelligence burial. However, naval tactics avoid the need for one because when the ability is active, the submarines can pop any type of balloon. With the nerf of the ability duration, we are back to needing the MIB. This was how Gwen dropped out of the meta as well. Nevertheless, the attack speed buff is still valuable and Brickell is by far the best hero for sub-spam. What this also means is that the monkey intelligence burial is now more necessary than ever. It must really be hard navigating this debate. First, why it's bad. Etienne has a pretty meh drone DPS from an early game point of view. It's about the same as a base heli pilot for the most part, sometimes even weaker. Another complaint is that the UCAV is too niche and has too long cooldown, and its global camo detection is useless because DDTs will force a monkey intelligence burial, which kinda nullifies the whole point of the global camo detection. Etienne is like anti-adora. He is bad at early game, great at mid game, and as a math level 20, is male, and is anti-traditional by using technology, and is around the same power level as Adora. The real strength of him is the unmanned combat aerial vehicle, or the unmonkeyed combat aerial vehicle. The UCAV ability has a long cooldown, but when it's active, it pretty much destroys everything the mid-game can throw at you, especially in maps where global towers dominate. Etienne may not be able to solo like Adora, she needs support and stalling towers, but when Etienne Dark Knight on muddy puddles is a way of bypassing a challenge, you know it doesn't suck. Now at level 20 it gets pretty weird, since the UCAV technically gets nerfed, and all the UCAV UAV confusion. The UCAV is the ability, the UAV is the plane itself. So, for level 10, there is a new UCAV ability that makes the UAV attack. Level 20 is a rather confusing part. The UAV always has the missile attack. The UCAV ability buffs the UAV to give a +9 damage and +5 PS. However, the UAV without the UCAV ability to buff it is weaker than the level 19 UCAV buffed UAV. UAV was also reduced back to the 3 damage and 25 PS similar to the level 10 buffed ability. Plus, the UCAV ability only lasts 15 seconds, unlike previously where it lasted 25 seconds. However, the UCAV ability buffed UAV is better than its level 19 counterpart. If all this is too much, here is a table. However, level 20 is not really an improvement to be fair.